Well, the subject of today's video is a Victrola VI-VIII. Now, in 1918, this was the smallest tabletop model you could buy with a lid from Victrola, anyway. This is basically a Victrola VI. That's the larger of the two tabletop models without a lid. That's had a cabinet built around it, a larger horn installed, and it's been given a lid. Now, this has the same motor as the Victrola VI. It's a 2-spring, and it's been fully serviced, as you can see, and cleaned. It's original. Nothing's been refinished or altered, just waxed and wiped down and cleaned. This was a flea market find that was in typical dusty, cobweb-covered, totally gummed-up condition. The motor had a century of grease and filth all over it. Needed to be scrubbed and cleaned. Take a look at it. The VIII was only available in oak. There were rumors that there were some mahogany versions around, but no evidence has ever come to light that I'm aware of to show the VIII with mahogany or any other wood finish you see other than oak. Quarter sawn oak, as you see. And the typical coffin top lid of all of the larger Victrolas had. It's kind of a smaller version of the Victor IX, which was a slightly bigger case, larger horn, a larger motor, also 2-spring, but the IX has a larger springs. And you can always tell immediately when you're looking online at these machines, because it does resemble one of the earlier Ninths so closely, in a picture anyway. All you got to do is just look for this. The 9 has these 3 in a row. These are the needle cups. They're in a row. They're not curved like this. Only the 8 has that. So you can always tell right away from the pictures if you look at it at 8 or 9. And of course, the 8 has the 10-inch turntable. This one is number 133,946. That is 1918, the last year of the Great War. And has the sound doors. Now, in 1918, the 9 already had the feet on it. These little scrolled feet down here. The 8 never had that. The 8 never got it. And this is one of those machines that it's either feast or famine. A couple of years back, there was a flea market season where it seems I couldn't get away from an 8. They were all over the place. I picked up 3 or 4 of them. This is one of them. And then it could be like, it'll be 10 years before I see another. It's just the way it is. The 9 I find all the time, but not so many 8s. I don't know if fewer of them survived or fewer of them were made to begin. Well, obviously quite a few were made. But I just don't come across them that often, except in bunches. You know, you'd be at a flea market, there's one. Tag sale, there's one. Craigslist, there's one. Just they turn up. And then you don't see any for a while. This one's pretty nice. Like I said, it's original. It's not perfect. You see little bits of the veneer up here loosened a bit, and I had to reattach that and glue it down. It's all solid. But it's not bad looking. It isn't really. The rest of the veneer is good. A few little scratches here and there. But that's expected in a machine that's 100 years old. Excuse me, 102 years old. I forgot. It's almost 2020. And you can see it's got the speed control where you can read the dial. I'll show you that in a minute. That actually works. I fixed it. And we're all wound up, ready to go. We're going to play, being that it is a 1918 machine, It's a Long Way to Tipperary, the Tipperary song by the American Quartet. And of course, needles already in. This has, the 8 only ever came with the exhibition reproducer. And that's all you could get in 1918 anyway. But in 1919, it could have been upgraded to the number 2, but it wasn't. It retained the exhibition, unless you wanted a dealer upgrade, which you would have to pay extra for. Okay, let's see. Let's put the needle on the record. And with a Victrola, with a lid, it's always good to close the lid. That's what it's there for, so you don't have to hear the hiss and pop from the reproducer, which you always get a little bit of.
London came an Irishman one day. As the streets are paved with gold, sure everyone was gay. Singing songs lines of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square, till Paddy got excited, then he shouted, "Who's in there?" It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know in Tipperary. So it's goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Paddy wrote a letter to his Irish Molly-o, saying, should you not receive it, write and let me know. If I make mistakes in spelling, Molly dear, said he, remember it's the pen that's bad, don't lay the blame on me. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know in Tipperary. So it's goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know in Tipperary. So it's goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
And there you go. Well, maybe I'll play the flip side on this one. And anybody wondering what this can back here is for, it's for your spent needles. You put them in there so you don't stab yourself with them somewhere else. What is the flip side on this one? I forget. Soldiers of the King March. Hey, we can play that. Let's shake out a new needle, because with a Victrola, as I've said 100 times, I'll say it 100 more. Oops, I lost the needle. You change the needle each time you play a side of a record, because the needles conform themselves to the groove. And if you use the same needle on a different record, you start to cut a new groove in the record with it. It acts like a chisel. You don't want to do that. Needles are cheap. They are available from any of the parts vendors online on eBay, by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the 10,000s. Records, however, are in a limited supply, especially ones that are still in good playable condition. Because just because a record looks nice doesn't mean it'll play nice, because sometimes the damage is in the grooves where you can't see it. This one plays pretty well, which is kind of surprising, because the Tipperary song was pretty popular in 1918 and in the years after it. Both, obviously, of course, the ocean in England and here. I guess our soldiers picked it up while they were over there. Although this is a Victor pressing in the U.S. Oh, why did I do that for? I already turned it over, didn't I? You want to play the same song twice? All right. Soldiers of the King March. Let's see if it'll... I don't know if this will play too right. It should. On one wind. go. Well, this machine received the full service. That means the motor was removed, disassembled down to its last little piece. All the little ball bearings freed up, the springs greased, inspected, and replaced. This has original springs in it, and as you can see, they're in good condition. Sometimes these smaller 2 springs, if they're weak, they're not going to play completely through 2 fairly long records too, and it'll go into a third. I don't have another record to play here, but I'm not going to bother now. The reproducer, of course, always needs to be rebuilt on these when they are original, because they simply do not last 100 years with original rubber gaskets on there. And those are, the original ones had actual rubber, natural rubber in there. Those white gaskets you see there in the exhibition reproducer were all cracked and shriveled, massive air leaks, it sounded tinny, and that's also destructive to records to play them that way. This is fully restored. And as you can hear, playing very nicely. The tone arm was adjusted and greased, the slop removed from it. There's always a little bit of movement, but you don't want a whole lot. You don't want that slopping around and banging around. That's no good either. The brake is holding. Everything was all cleaned up and polished. I might have done an earlier video on this after. I think I did a motor test video on this, but now it's all cleaned up nice. And it's going to be sold because I have 4 of these now. I really can't keep all of them, so. And they're all pretty much the same condition. So there really is no need to keep all of them. But now a word about cranking. Winding up the springs. What you want to do with these is you want to wind them to the point where you just start to feel resistance. But don't push beyond that. Don't Hercules it. You don't need to force it. So watch how I do it. Here it's easy. You don't feel anything. It's just turning. Normal turning. And you'll wind it for quite a while. On some machines more than others. This is a 2 spring, so obviously you're going to wind it more than a VV-50 or something like that, which is a single spring. Okay, right there. I'm just starting to feel resistance. That's it. That's all it needs. You don't want to try to get every last little bit out of it. Don't do that. That's all you need to do. Just until you start to feel a little resistance on there. If you push too much, you can break a spring. And while that's not the end of the world, it does get expensive. So don't do that. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's your typical Victor VIII. Victrola VI. Victor is an outside horn machine. Victrola is an inside horn machine. Internal horn, as you see. Right there. And it's a very nice one, too. Okay, that's it for today.